Sigmund and the Bread of Giggle-Light. Sigmund was a small dragon with scales the dusty blue of a late summer blueberry. He lived in the sugar dust kitchen, a copper-bottomed pantry that drifted through the clouds like a giant whistling tea kettle. Every evening, Sigmund baked moonlight bread to feed the blinking stars that lived just outside his window. But tonight, the dough sat in its wooden bowl as heavy and gray as a rain cloud. In this kitchen, the ovens only warmed when they heard a happy secret, and the dough only rose when it was tickled by a giggle. Sigmund was trying to follow the book of serious baking, which said that dragons must be very stern to succeed, and now the stars were beginning to dim with hunger. Determined to fix the bread, Sigmund carried his heavy bowl into the flour cloud pantry, where the shelves groaned under jars of starlight sugar. He leaned over the gray dough and tried to whisper a very serious, sensible secret about how to organize a sock drawer, but his voice was thin and flat. The dough didn't budge. It remained a stubborn, dull lump. Sigmund knew the bread needed the bubbly, bouncing energy of a real laugh, but he had spent all day practicing being a very serious dragon. He began to rummage through the tall sacks of cloud flour, looking for a ticklish spoon or a jar of old jokes, his heart feeling as heavy as a leaden biscuit. Sigmund waddled toward the bubbling yeast spring, where the water hopped and chirped in a stone basin. As he reached for a cup, his tail swiped a giant, overfilled bag of moonflower. With a muffled poof, the bag burst like a soft white firework, coating Sigmund from his horns to his haunches. When the dust settled, Sigmund looked in the polished silver fridge and saw a round, puffy, pure white creature staring back. He looked less like a fierce dragon and more like a giant, confused marshmallow with two blinking eyes. A tiny, wiggly tickle began to grow in his belly, bubbling up past his serious scales. He couldn't help it. A great, wobbling giggle erupted from his chest and echoed off the copper pots. Sigmund leaned over his bowl and poured that bubbly sound right into the mixture, whispering the secret of the Marshmallow Dragon. The dough shivered, drinking in the joy, and instantly began to glow a vibrant, pulsing violet. It grew larger and lighter until it drifted right out of the bowl, hovering in the air like a translucent, shimmering jellyfish. The Giggle-Light bread bobbed gently, its soft purple glow illuminating the kitchen with a warmth that smelled of honey and wild clover. Sigmund guided the floating loaf out onto the star view balcony, where the cool night air tasted like peppermint. As he broke the glowing bread into pieces, The nearby stars drifted closer. Sirius, who was always a bit grumpy until he had snacks, and little Lyra, who twinkled with a nervous rhythm. He tossed the violet morsels into the sky, watching as they caught the treats and sparked into brilliant, steady light. The stars hummed a song of gratitude that vibrated in Sigmund's scales. Brushing the last of the white flour from his nose, Sigmund watched the violet bread pulse in the dark, knowing that even the most serious dragon needs a little wiggle in his heart.